Skinny's no good for you, Darla. You put a bullet in him, and I just might let you go.
Wow. You're a bad boy, ain't you?
Hello there YouTube, and welcome to my latest build, the Con Man. The Con Man is a build that relies more on manipulating others to do his bidding than directly doing things himself. He will ruthlessly do whatever it takes to achieve his goals of power, wealth and revenge. The Con Man starts with Strength 2, Perception 1, Endurance 1, Charisma 10, Intelligence 1, Agility 4 and Luck 10. Strength is at 2 so that you can get Armourer if you grab the Strength bobblehead. Perception and Endurance are both at 1 as you don't really need them. When you are fighting you will only want to use VATs at close range, so the accuracy will be high anyway. And I didn't feel it was worth taking points out of the other special stats in order to boost Endurance. Just use your companions and others to soak up bullets for you. Charisma is the defining stat of this build, so it's maxed out. This represents the Con Man's amazing persuasive abilities, and will help with buying and selling as well as giving us access to a bunch of great perks. Intelligence is at 1. The Con Man isn't a smart guy in the standard sense. He's never really had to try and develop his mind, and his natural charisma and way of words means he's always been able to get other people to do the thinking for him. His one intelligent quality is being able to read people incredibly well from just a single glance. An agility of 4 gives the Con Man a reasonable number of action points, and also gets us to Mr. Sandman, which is a great perk for reinforcing the backhanded nature of this build. Luck has been maxed out because the Con Man is insanely lucky. Even worse situations always seem to work themselves out for him, and he always ends up stumbling across money, potential bullet shields, and anything else he might need. The main perks for this build are Intimidation, Inspirational, Mysterious Stranger, Commando and Ricochet. Commando is used to increase the power you deal, and the other 4 perks are all designed to make others deal damage for you, whether it be a companion, the Mysterious Stranger, or the enemy themselves. The secondary perks for this build are Bloody Mess, Better Criticals, Critical Banker, Grim Reaper Sprint, 4-Leaf Clover, Armourer, Idiot Savant and Cap Collector. Bloody Mess gives you a nice damage boost, while Armourer can get you higher ballistic weave to give you a defense boost. Cap Collector will get you more money, which will help you buy ammo, weapons and apparel for you and your companions. Idiot Savant will help you level up quickly and is a secondary perk purely because that's all it does. If you aren't fussed about leveling, then skip this perk, otherwise you will definitely want it to balance out the low intelligence of the build. The rest of the luck perks will turn you into a killing machine inside of VATs. These will stop you from having to always send your companion in first and mean that you can potentially go it alone for a while if you need to. There are a few role-playing perks for this build just added in to suit the character. These are Lady Killer, Party Boy, Mr. Sandman and Fortune Finder. Lady Killer, or Black Widow if you choose to play as a female character, helps improve your persuasion with the opposite gender, and also helps to improve the chance of a successful intimidation attempt. Party Boy will allow you to drink as much booze as you want, and although this is a role-playing based perk, it does give you some nice bonuses as a charisma and luck based character. Mr. Sandman can help you out with your main weapon as it is a silenced weapon. I personally stuck with silenced weapons throughout playtesting, but more importantly you'll want the first rank for the sleeping kill animation. This highlights that the Con Man doesn't look for fair fights, but instead deals with his enemies whilst they are most vulnerable. Fortune Finder not only will keep you topped up on caps, but shows just how lucky the Con Man is. Even after the world has suffered nuclear annihilation, he still has next to no trouble becoming rich. The Con Man was, as the name suggests, a con artist before the war. He was an amazingly persuasive person who could make people do whatever he wanted by flashing a smile and saying a few kind words. He made a living for a while by selling a miracle cure-all drink across multiple towns, leaving each one after a day or 2 of selling, and before anyone realised that he was actually just selling them incredibly watered down Nuka-Cola. After almost a year of selling these bottles of empty promises to many unwitting customers, he sold a bottle to a very dangerous individual. A very ill elderly man in a suit and a fedora came up to him one day and asked for a bottle to cure his life-endangering disease, and the Con Man happily sold him a bottle for an exorbitant price. Later that night, as the Con Man was packing up his stall, a pair of hulking figures walked up to him and towered over him. The Con Man then noticed that the old man he had sold a bottle to earlier was with them. The man explained that he was the head of an exceptionally powerful crime family, and that he had found out what the miracle cure actually was, so he had decided to deal with the man who had tried to swindle him. The old man calmly explained that his 2 associates were going to break every bone in the Con Man's body, one by one, and then stick a funnel in his mouth and pour his miracle cure down his throat until his bones were miraculously cured or until he was dead. Obviously, the conman wasn't too pleased with this plan, so had to quickly come up with an exit strategy. For a quick analysis of the man's two associates, he was able to identify a large amount of hostility the pair shared with each other. For a few quick and extremely flamboyant lies, the conman was able to weave a story about how he was certain that he had seen one of the men sleeping with the other's wife. This sent the two men at each other's throats and gave the conman the opportunity to get his hands on one of the goons' guns and rapidly execute the pair of them before turning it on the old man. This was when the elderly man used his own persuasive powers to convince the conman not to shoot, but instead to join his crime family. He offered the conman the chance of leading the family after his death, and the conman happily accepted the opportunity for a life filled with money and power. Within a year, the old man was dead, and the conman had taken his place. He spent many years as a mob boss, heading a criminal empire which robbed, bribed, and killed its way to a powerful enough position that the entire family became so heavily hunted that all the people in a position of power within the family had to go into hiding. The conman found himself a nice suburban house in Boston, where he and his wife, also a person of power within the crime family, were able to lay low. They both made up backstories for their own lives, with the conman claiming to be a retired soldier and his wife claiming to have been a lawyer. They ended up having a child together whilst they were in hiding, and spent most of their time planning what to do when the heat was off of them. Unfortunately, there was more heat coming for them than they thought, as it turned out that whilst they were spending their time running a crime empire and avoiding capture, grander events were taking place in the resource war, and on the 23rd of October 2077, they were rushed away to the local vault in order to avoid destruction from nuclear fire.
Excuse me.
The conman isn't too concerned with any of the faction goals. He does things for his own reasons and isn't swayed by anyone else's beliefs or outlook on the world. He will, however, use a faction in order to get into the Institute, as he wants to get revenge on them for taking his son. This can be any of the factions, but I went with the Railroad in order to gain access to Ballistic Weave. Once you do enter the Institute, I suggest siding with them. This will reunite you with your son, but will also help to establish you in a position of power, something that appeals greatly to the conman. You will want to constantly use companions with this build, and you can justifiably have any companions that you want with you. You can abuse the affinity system in the same way the conman would abuse someone's personality traits to get them on his side. I found it enjoyable to get as many companions as possible on my side, and it suits the conman to try and get himself a ton of people on his side to work as potential bodyguards. There are, however, 3 companions who I feel work best with this build: McCready, Strong, and Kate. You can maximise each of their affinities by doing negative actions, which helps to roleplay a more evil build most of the time. You'll want to carry around Spray and Pray as your main weapon. This can be bought off of Cricket, and the explosive effect it has turns the submachine gun from an underwhelming weapon into a killing machine. The one downside is that the splash damage can potentially damage you if you shoot at point blank, and your companions if they are near when you're firing. If you use this in close range, then make sure you go into VATS in order to minimise any splash damage to you. This won't help your companions, but who cares? You're the conman. Sure, you might be nice to them to get them on your side, but their only purpose is to get you to the top, and if they go down or die, then you can just get a new one. For armour, you will want a suit, a fedora, and sunglasses. You'll want the battered fedora if you help out the Railroad enough to get Ballistic Weave, but other than that, just go with whatever looks good. Appearance matters more than functionality for the conman. The extra charisma you get from wearing a suit also makes prices even cheaper than they already were. Thank you all very much for watching my latest build. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Seriously, send it to anyone you think might like it, and feel free to post it anywhere it might be viewed with interest. There will be a new build coming next week, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. I'll see all of you in the next build.